Yo, what's up? Soul Control here, back at you with another video. You can Twitch me at Soul Control 1, you can TikTok me at Soul Control 1, and please check out Gaming Kaiju, for we are there for the people. Yo, we're gonna talk about Fatal Fury, City of the Wolves, and just why I think that Fatal Fury, City of the Wolves is gonna be my fighting game of the year for 2026, and it mainly has to do with a couple characters outside of the main ones, because there are characters, rather people out there want to realize it or not, that can really take the gaming experience to another level, and that's Mr. Karate. Like I said, aka Robert Garcia and Kenshiro from Fist of the North Star. And this really brought a lot of flavor to the game of Fatal Fury City of the Wolves. I recently got the game specifically because of those two. And that's what's beginning to happen now with a lot of fighting games, is that these companies are starting to bring in characters that appeal to people, or that appeal really to the manga fans, the anime fans, the RPG fans. Tekken was good at that with bringing in Fatal Fury characters such as Geese Howard, and Final Fantasy characters such as Claude and Noctis, and also they brought in Akuma. But Mr. Karate, to me, man, he really brings a lot to the table as far as just a fun character to play with, because everything connects. And it's the same with Kenshiro. So he brings a lot of flair and style to the game, and this to me is the best version of Robert Garcia outside of the KOF 13 Robert Garcia, and I want to say maybe like the earlier versions of Robert Garcia in Art of Fighting 1 and 2. But to me, this is an awesome version of Robert Garcia, and I hope he sticks around, because this is the best version of Mr. Karate. And now again, in KOF 13, Mr. Karate Takuma, he was really fun to watch, and a lot of the Korean players, such as Mad Cafe, really brought that character to life. I loved watching some of the top players use Mr. Karate Takuma's version, and now we get to see more Mr. Karate, this version, which is, man, I mean, you want to talk about characters that got movesets. And I thought that Marco Rodriguez was a bit much, but they turned it up a bit, because Marco Rodriguez and Mark of the Wolves, wow, he was an explosive, and I enjoyed playing with him. I love characters like that, that just have so much power and so much flair. And with Mr. Karate and City of the Wolves being here, man, a lot of people are enjoying them. And I'm seeing a major difference between people enjoying Street Fighter, and then you have the Street Fighter, and then you have the City of the Wolves. And when I look at Street Fighter, it's kind of like I'm looking at people play these characters as an assignment. It's like, oh, here goes a new character. I'm in this mode to try to win a tournament. I'm in this mode to just get a bunch of wins. But then when I'm looking throughout YouTube and I'm looking at Twitch and I'm seeing people play City of the Wolves, I'm seeing like people really have fun. Now, there's no data or no stats on that. You have to really, there's just some things in life you just got to go off your eyes on. And what do your eyes tell you? That's really one of the things that Skip Bayless and Rob Parker would always talk about, is what does the eye test, show you? And what I see with my eyes, I just see a lot of people just really having fun playing with these characters, and I can't wait, to play these characters. Like I said, I just bought the game, and it was a market money grab, but they lowered the price, and it's affordable. And so, I was able to get that game, and I was able to get that season pass, so I could try these characters myself. And the remarkable thing, about City of the Wolves is that even though the fundamentals are there, the fun aspect is there. I mean, even though City of the Wolves characters aren't as known as Street Fighter characters, you could just look at the tournament and you could just go, man, they just having fun. Like when I'm watching Chris G play, City of the Wolves, man, I'm just seeing a guy that's like really having fun with the character. And yeah, he whines a lot sometimes, but he's a competitor, so I give him a pass on that. But when he's commenting on the game, of City of the Wolves, it's like he's not really complaining like that. He's really having fun. And another one of my favorite people is watching Dead Ace. And with Dead Ace, man, I love hearing them say, oh man, the sauce. And he already said right out the gate that he's going to be playing with Kenshiro. He said, that's already my main. He already said it. And then when you watch him, he goes, man, the sauce. I need more sauce. I'm loving the sauce in this game. And you can't blame him for it, because I just feel like Street Fighter just doesn't bring what City of the Wolves is bringing with a lot of these characters, with the flair and style. And Kenshiro, they are your or characters like Kenshiro, they are your day one anime manga characters. And when I mean day one, I'm talking about 80s, 90s, where manga was just nitty gritty. It was no holds bar. When somebody got into a fight, there was no dirt. It was just straight blood and guts and fisticuffs. And these were men. And to have him in the game, plus he was in his own version of I want to say Yakuza, but it was Fist of the North Star. It was like the Yakuza version of it. And he had, of course, his own fighting game where it was just like eternal loops. If you knew how to loop in those, old school Arc System games, I can't remember right off the bat what it was called, but the exact title was called, I think it was called Fist of the North Star, Final Destiny or something like that. And that game was fun to watch. It was to the letter, to the book, but that game was busted where you could just have eternal loops. But people know who Kenshiro is. And what's funny is, when I mentioned earlier, was that Tekken, you have these other companies that's bringing in these manga characters. They are bringing people that who once upon a time, like in the early YouTube stages, they were just bringing in, these manga characters and making them sprite. That's when, back in the day you had, I think it was called Final Fantasy versus Dead or Alive. It was called Dead Fantasy. And then there was a popular one with Akuma and Chameleon, the Street Fighter 3 version of Akuma versus Chameleon. And it was just, it was spriteful. It was already kind of like a multiverse thing. And now what these companies are doing, they're just bringing them. Okay, you want to play with Yujiro? Hey, we're going to bring in Yujiro. You want to play with Kenshiro? Yeah, okay, we're going to bring in Kenshiro. You want to play with Tifa? Okay, fine. We'll bring in Tifa. And that was, to me, a good move because it's going to bring in people who never really play Street Fighter or City of the Wolves or Tekken a chance to just come on in and just have a good time and play their favorite characters. Now, there's still going to be wins and there's still going to be a lot of losses. And so that's why they're really making these games a lot more easier, just so that, you know, when we bring these characters in, if we kind of make the game easier, maybe they'll stick around. But yeah, but I just really think City of the Wolves is just crossing, you know, all the T's and dotting all the I's. This just looks like a fun game. And I've been enjoying tournaments. I've been enjoying Goichi's, watching him play. I've been enjoying Dead Ace. I've been enjoying Chris G and watching him play the game. And so, you know, all these other channels, these fight game channels, man, I really have been enjoying it. Really, City of the Wolves than anything. And like one of my brothers was telling me, you know, Cronus, he was saying, well, you know, I will always watch Street Fighter over any other game because of the players. Which I can't disagree with, because, you know, players do make the game. They do take it to another level. But I like City of the Wolves because it's just really fun to watch these characters go at it. Alright, everybody, so that's my time. Man, check us out at Gaming Kaiju. And I'll see you guys next time. Love you guys. Peace.